The massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Alliance Council chamber glittered under artificial starlight. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations sat in curved rows, their bodies of all shapes and sizes tense with worry. In the center of the room, a hologram played terrible images. Cities burning, people running, ships falling from the sky. "The Aloran homeworld has been under attack for 3 standard days," said the council leader, a tall being with blue skin. "The Krell Dominion shows no mercy." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Krell were known across the galaxy as conquerors who took what they wanted. No one had stopped them before. "We must send help," said one representative, but without much hope in his voice. "With what ships?" asked another. "The Krell fleet outnumbers all our defense forces combined." At the back of the chamber, a human named June listened quietly. Humans were new to the galactic community. Most aliens thought Earth was a simple planet with simple technology. June knew different. When the arguing grew louder, June stood up. He was shorter than most aliens in the room, but his voice carried clearly. "Earth can help." The room went silent, then erupted in laughter. "Your people barely have space travel," said a reptilian delegate. "You have no battle fleet," said another. The council leader raised a hand for quiet. "Human June, we appreciate your offer, but your world is classified as a death world, too dangerous for most galactic life. Your people are still learning about the wider galaxy." June smiled. "That's what we wanted you all to think." His words silenced the room again, but this time without laughter. "My government has authorized me to offer our assistance," June continued, "but you need to see what we can really do." 3 days later, a small group of council representatives stood on the observation deck of Luna Command, Earth's moon base. Below them, hidden in Earth's shadow, floated 7 massive warships and dozens of smaller vessels. "Impossible," whispered a 4-armed delegate. "How did you build this without anyone knowing?" Admiral Hana, head of Earth's Space Defense Force, stepped forward. She was an older woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. "We've been watching the galaxy for decades," she said. "We saw what happened to other worlds that asked for help and received none. Earth decided to be ready." She turned to a large screen showing the Aloran distress signals. Children crying, buildings falling, a beautiful world dying. Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Admiral Hana said quietly, "We fought predators, disease, natural disasters. We fought each other. But we learned something important. The strong must protect those who cannot protect themselves." The Admiral pressed a button on her uniform. Lights came on across all 7 warships. Engine glow brightened as crews prepared for departure. "The Federation has approved immediate intervention," she said. "My fleet will depart within 6 hours. A tall, thin alien with compound eyes stepped forward nervously. "I am Lear, appointed by the Council to observe your assistance. But I must warn you, the Krell are the most powerful military force in the known galaxy." Admiral Hana nodded to a young officer. "Commander Tay, please show our guest to his quarters on the Intrepid." As Lear was led away, one of the council members, an old being with skin like tree bark, approached Hana. "Why would humans risk their lives for aliens you barely know?" he asked. Hana looked at the images of suffering still playing on the screens. "Because if we don't stand against bullies, who will? We've had that lesson taught to us many times in our history." On the bridge of the lead ship, Commander Tay supervised final preparations. Officers moved with quick efficiency at their stations, checking weapons, shields, and jump drives. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Tay announced as Hana entered the bridge. "The Valiant, Dauntless, and Resolute have moved into jump formation." Hana took her command chair. "And our guest? Officer Lear is uncomfortable with our combat preparations," Tay said with a small smile. "I don't think he expected us to be so efficient." "Most species fear what they don't understand," Hana replied. "They've been told humans are primitive. They're about to learn differently." Far away on the burning Aloran homeworld, a group of survivors huddled in deep caves. Their leader, Ashara, looked at the children sleeping nearby. The transmission has been sent, her helper whispered. But no one in the Alliance has the strength to face the Krell. Ashara closed her 4 eyes briefly. Someone will come. They must. In orbit above them, Krell Commander Vrax received a report from his sensor officer. Human vessels approaching at jump velocity? Vrax clicked his mandibles in amusement. Impossible. Humans are primitive creatures barely able to reach their own moon. The intelligence is verified, Commander, the young officer insisted. 7 large warships. Vrax laughed, a harsh chittering sound. Even if true, what can 7 ships do against our armada? Continue the cleansing operation. These humans will learn their place, just like the pathetic Alorans. As the Krell returned to their brutal work, 7 ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Admiral Hanna gave a single command. Weapons. Free. No warnings. The human fleet moved forward, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The command bridge of the FSV Intrepid hummed with activity. Screens glowed with star maps and sensor data. Officers moved between stations with quick, sure steps. Admiral Hanna stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the main display showing the Aloran system. All ships report combat ready, Admiral, Commander, Tay said. His uniform was crisp, his face calm, but his eyes showed the same fire that burned in all the humans on the bridge. The valiant, dauntless, and resolute have entered jump formation, he continued. Weapon systems are hot. Medical teams are prepared for Eleran casualties. Hanna nodded. She had led her fleet through 3 major engagements back in the solar system conflicts. But this would be humanity's first interstellar war. The first time humans would show their true power to the galaxy. And our guest? She asked. Tay's expression tightened slightly. Officer Lear is unsettled by our preparations. The alien observer had been watching human crews drill for the past 6 hours. The speed at which humans moved, their efficiency, their casual discussion of combat scenarios, all of it confirmed what many species had long suspected about Deathworlders from Earth. Lieutenant Jin looked up from the navigation console. Jump drives charged, Admiral. Approach vector plotted. On the tactical display, 7 massive warships moved into perfect alignment. No other species in the Alliance could have coordinated such precise movement so quickly. Time to jump? Hanna asked. 4 minutes, 17 seconds, Jin replied. Hanna pressed a button on her chair. Her voice carried to every ship in the fleet. All personnel, we are about to engage an enemy that has never known defeat. The Krell believe they are the strongest power in the galaxy. Today they learn differently. She paused, letting her words sink in. The people of Earth have hidden our strength for decades. We've watched as other worlds suffered because the Galactic Alliance was too afraid to act. We are not afraid. We were born on a world that tried to kill us every day. We survived ice ages and plagues. We endured disasters and wars. Earth made us strong. Throughout the fleet, human faces turned toward speakers and screens. But strength means nothing without compassion. Hanna continued. The Alorans cannot defend themselves, so we will defend them. This is why Earth built this fleet. This is why you trained. To protect those who cannot protect themselves. Officer Lear stood at the back of the bridge, his compound eyes wide with astonishment. He had never heard a military leader speak of compassion before battles. Jump in 1 minute, announced Jin. Hanna ended her broadcast and turned to her crew. Battle stations. Far away on the Aloran homeworld, Resistance leader Ashara moved silently through underground tunnels. Her blue skin, once bright and luminescent, had dulled with fear and hunger. She carried a small device that still broadcast the distress signal to the stars. The children are secure in the mountain sanctuaries, her lieutenant whispered. But food supplies are low, and the Krell drop hunters into the forests each day. Ashara touched the wall of the tunnel. This complex had been built 3,000 years ago, during her people's last great war. They had been a peaceful species for so long that most had forgotten these tunnels existed. Our last transmitters continue broadcasting, her lieutenant added. Though we've had no response. Ishara closed her four eyes briefly. Someone will come. They must. In orbit above them, the massive shape of the Krell command ship blocked the sunlight. Inside, Commander Vrax received reports from his invasion forces. Resistance continues in the western forests, a junior officer reported. Small groups attack our patrols and disappear. Vrax clicked his mandibles in irritation. Increase hunter deployments. Find their hiding places. The Alorans must learn that resistance leads only to pain. Another officer approached nervously, his exoskeleton clicking on the metal floor. Commander, our deep space sensors have detected unusual activity at the edge of the system. Explain, Vrax demanded. Energy signatures consistent with jump drives. Large vessels approaching at high speed. Vrax's compound eyes narrowed. Alliance ships? They have no courage for battle. The signatures match human vessels. Vrax chittered with amusement. Humans? Those primitive apes who live on that high-gravity mud ball? They barely have ships that can reach their own moon. The intelligence is verified, Commander. 7 capital ships of unknown design. Moving, in combat formation. Vrax rose from his command chair. At full height, he towered over his officers, his armored exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's lights. Even if true, what can 7 ships do against our armada? We have conquered 12 systems, our fleet numbers in the hundreds. But a small doubt nagged at him. Humans were an unknown factor. Their planet was classified as a death world, too dangerous for most galactic species to even visit. What kind of creatures evolved on such a planet? Monitor these vessels, he ordered. If they enter our defensive perimeter, destroy them. Show these humans what happens to those who interfere with the Krell dominion. At the edge of the system, space itself seemed to bend and twist. 7 points of light appeared, growing rapidly into the angular shapes of human warships. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Admiral Hana looked at the tactical display showing hundreds of Krell vessels. Scan for LRN life signs on the planet, she ordered, and target Krell patrol ships only. No transmissions escape. Commander Tay nodded. Weapons free? Hana's eyes hardened. No warnings. The human fleet accelerated toward the Aloran homeworld, their weapons charging silently in the vacuum of space. The human fleet moved through space like silent predators. 7 massive warships, their hulls painted deep black to absorb light and sensor scans. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Admiral Hana stood calmly as tactical displays lit up with hundreds of enemy signatures. Krell patrol ships detecting our presence, reported Lieutenant Jin. Her fingers moved quickly over her control panel. They're preparing to transmit warnings to their main fleet. Weapons free, Hana ordered quietly. No warnings. Before the Krell could alert their fleet, precision, railgun fire from the human vessels tore through space. The patrol ships exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. First blood, murmured Commander Tay. They never got a signal out. Hana nodded. Deploy reconnaissance drones. I want complete scans of their fleet positions and ground forces. And prepare dropships, Tay added. Major Sun's ground forces stand ready. Officer Lear, the alien observer, watched with wide, compound eyes. Your ships move so quickly, he said, and your targeting systems. How do you achieve such precision? Hana did not turn from the display. We evolved as hunters, Officer Lear, tracking fast-moving prey through forests and across plains. Our eyes and brains developed to calculate trajectory and speed naturally. She finally looked at him. And we've been preparing for this moment for decades. On the main Krell command vessel, alarms suddenly blared. Commander Vrax stomped to the central platform. Report, he demanded. His tactical officer's mandibles trembled. Patrol Group 7 has gone silent, Commander. No distress signal, no debris. Signature. Just gone. The human ships? Moving into the system at combat speed. Their formation is unusual, not following any known tactical pattern. Vrax clicked his mandibles together. Launch fighter squadrons. Surround and destroy. Them. 100 Krell fighters swarmed from carrier ships moving toward the human fleet in a deadly cloud. On the Intrepid, tactical displays tracked their approach. "Enemy fighters incoming," reported Jin. "Targeting solutions ready." Hana studied the enemy formation. "Deploy countermeasures and bring point defense systems online." The space around the human fleet suddenly filled with thousands of small metallic objects, each barely larger than a coin. As Krell fighters entered the cloud, the objects attached to their hulls and exploded in tiny, precise detonations that ruptured control systems and life support. Fighter after fighter went dark or exploded. Those that made it through the cloud faced automated laser systems that tracked and fired with inhuman speed and accuracy. "First wave neutralized," Jin announced. "Minimal ammunition expenditure." On the Krell command ship, Vrax watched in disbelief as his fighter screen was decimated. "Impossible," he chittered. "They're anticipating our formation changes before we execute them." His tactical officer looked up from his console. "Their targeting algorithms are unlike anything we've encountered. They're not following standard attack patterns." A new alarm sounded. "Dropships launched from human vessels," another officer reported. "They're heading for the planet's surface." "Stop them!" Vrax roared. Major Sun checked her combat armor one last time as her dropship plunged through Alora's atmosphere. 20 elite soldiers did the same around her. None showed fear. "Remember your training," Sun said to her team. "The Aloran gravity is only 0.8 of Earth normal. You'll feel lighter, faster. Use it to your advantage." The dropship shuddered as Krell defense fire exploded nearby. The pilot's voice came through their helmet comms. 30 seconds to landing zone. Heavy resistance expected." Sun nodded. "Weapons hot. Remember, we find survivors and secure extraction points. The Krell are secondary targets." The dropship's doors opened with a hiss. Bright sunlight and the smell of burning buildings rushed in. Sun was first out, her rifle already tracking targets. Her team followed in perfect formation, spreading out to secure the landing zone. Unlike the Krell, who moved awkwardly in their heavy exoskeletons, the humans moved with deadly grace. Their bodies, evolved on a high-gravity world with constant dangers, gave them a critical advantage. "Building secure," Sun reported as her team found shell-shocked Elloran survivors hiding in a collapsed structure. The blue-skinned aliens looked at the humans with 4 eyes wide in terror, then hope. "We are from Earth," Sun said slowly, activating her translator. "We've come to help." Across the city, similar scenes played out as human dropships landed and teams moved out. The Krell ground forces, used to easy victories against peaceful species, suddenly faced opponents who moved faster, hit harder, and showed no fear. A Krell squad leader watched in horror as humans dodged energy bolts that should have been impossible to avoid. They seemed to predict attacks before they happened. One human soldier took a direct hit to his armor and kept fighting, when such a blast would have killed any other species instantly. "Sun to command," the major reported. "We've secured landing zones 3 and 4, beginning evacuation of civilian survivors. Request medical support." "Acknowledged," came Admiral Hana's voice. "Medical teams inbound. Be advised, Krell reinforcements approaching your position." Sun looked at her team. Not one had fallen. "Understood. We'll be ready." Near the command post, a wounded Krell officer had been captured. He stared at Sun with compound eyes wide. "How do you move so fast in this gravity? How do your bodies withstand such pressure?" Sun smiled grimly. "We call our homeworld Earth. You'd call it a nightmare. Everything there evolved to survive, or die trying." She turned away from the prisoner. "Team 1 and 2 form a defensive perimeter. Team 3, continue evacuation. These people have suffered enough." As night fell on the burning world, the humans dug in. Above them, the battle in space continued as Admiral Hana's fleet executed maneuvers no other species could match. And across the planet, the word spread among the terrified Elorans. Help had finally come. The Deathworlders had answered their call. The war room aboard the Intrepid was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Maps and data filled the large screens on every wall. Admiral Hana studied a star chart showing Krell territory. 7 systems marked in angry red. "The Alorans are secure," she announced. Around the table, her officers nodded. In just 3 days, they had evacuated over 200,000 Aloran civilians to safety. "Now we take the fight to the Krell homeworlds," Hana continued. Commander Tay looked up sharply. "Admiral, we're outnumbered 30-1. Numbers didn't help them. "At Elora Prime," Hana replied. She turned to Lieutenant Jin. "What did your infiltration team discover?" Jin stood and pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the table showing a complex network of lines connecting dots of different sizes. "This is the Krell command structure," Jin explained. "Unlike humans who can function independently, Krell warriors depend entirely on orders from above. Their entire military operates on strict control from the top. Kill the command node, paralyze the subordinates. Like cutting the head off a snake," said Major Sun. Her armor still showed burn marks from ground combat on Elora. Hana nodded. "Exactly, and we know where their command centers are." Officer Lear, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. "What you're suggesting is impossible. The Krell inner systems are the most heavily defended in the galaxy." "Impossible for most species," Hana corrected. "But we're not most species." The plan was set. While the Galactic Alliance believed the human fleet was escorting Aloran refugees to safety, Admiral Hana prepared for a strike no one would expect. The 7 human warships jumped directly into the heart of Krell space, bypassing border defenses. When they emerged, they immediately deployed their secret weapon, electronic warfare systems that mimicked Krell command frequencies. Conflicting orders spread chaos through the Krell fleet. Attack, retreat, hold position. Launch fighters, recall fighters. The carefully structured Krell military began to fall apart. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Hana watched the confusion with satisfaction. "All ships, commence Operation Thunderstroke." Human vessels struck with surgical precision. Their targets were not the largest Krell ships, but the command vessels sending orders to the fleet. Special Operator Minho led a boarding party onto the largest Krell command ship. His team moved through corridors with a speed and violence that terrified the Krell they encountered. "How do they move so fast?" a Krell engineer chittered in panic as humans seemed to flow around energy blasts that should have hit them. "Their nervous systems are overclocked," a Krell scientist reported frantically to the High Command. "Their reaction times exceed our best warriors, and they show no fear. They charge directly into fire." The Krell had always relied on their natural armor and superior numbers, but those advantages meant nothing against humans who had evolved to hunt, to endure pain, to adapt, and to never give up. Minho's team reached the command center and placed explosive charges on key systems. As they fought their way back to their shuttle, the explosions began. The entire command network collapsed behind them. Across the system, Krell ships suddenly found themselves without orders. Some captains tried to continue fighting. Others retreated, in confusion. The carefully coordinated Krell defense fell into chaos. Admiral Hana opened a channel to the Krell leadership. "Your forces are in disarray. Surrender now and we will show mercy." The Krell Supreme Commander's mandibles clicked with derision. His voice, translated through the ship's computers, sounded harsh and angry. "We do not surrender to primitives. The Krell Dominion has ruled the stars for 1,000 years. We will not be defeated by apes from a backwater world." Hana closed the channel. "Their choice. All ships, execute Phase 2. Human vessels performed a maneuver no other species could, have survived, accelerating at forces that would have crushed non-Deathworlder bodies. G-forces mounted as the ships changed direction at speeds that defied the tactical computers of the Krell. Inside each human ship, crews braced against acceleration that would have killed any other species in the galaxy. Their bodies, evolved, on a high-gravity world endured what no other could. The human fleet emerged behind the main Krell defense line, cutting off their retreat. Caught between hammer and anvil, the mighty Krell armada began to break apart. On the Krell homeworld, the Supreme Council watched in growing horror as battle reports came in. One by one, Their mighty ships were disabled or destroyed. "How is this possible?" demanded an elder counselor. "They are only 7 ships. They are not fighting like any species we have encountered," replied the military advisor. "They adapt, they improvise, they ignore damage that would stop any sane being." "They are from a death world," said another council member quietly. "We should have remembered what that means." In the command center of the Intrepid, Lieutenant Jin looked up from her console. "Sir, we're detecting transmissions from the Krell homeworld. They're calling back all their invasion forces." Commander Tay smiled grimly. "They're beginning to understand." Admiral Hana nodded. "Good. But understanding isn't enough. Prepare for final approach to the Krell homeworld. It's time they learn. What happens when they prey on those who cannot defend themselves? The human fleet regrouped, their hulls scorched but their resolve unbroken. As they set course for the heart of the Krell Empire, Admiral Hana sent one final message to Earth. Phase 1 complete. Proceeding to Phase 2, the Deathworlders are coming home. Throughout Krell space, a new understanding began to spread. The galaxy had changed forever. The age of Krell dominance was ending. The age of humanity had begun. The massive warships of the human fleet hung in space above the Krell homeworld, their weapon systems glowing with ready energy. The planet below was beautiful. 3 large oceans separated continents covered in strange angular cities that reflected sunlight like jewels. Admiral Hana stood before the main view screen on the Intrepid's bridge. Her uniform was crisp despite days of battle. Behind her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. "Open a channel," she ordered. The screen flickered, then showed the face of the Krell Supreme Commander. His exoskeleton was decorated with gold markings of rank. His compound eyes reflected the light in fragments, making his emotions hard to read. "This is Admiral Hana of the Earth Defense Fleet," she said calmly. "Your forces have been defeated. At Elora, your command ships have been disabled. Your invasion fleets are in retreat." She paused. "This is your final warning. Surrender your forces and withdraw from all occupied territories." The Krell Supreme Commander's mandibles clicked, rapidly, a sign of anger in their species. His translated voice filled the bridge. "We have ruled the stars for millennia," he chittered. "We will not bow to animals who have barely left their own planet." Hana's expression didn't change. "As you wish." She nodded to Commander Tay. What followed wasn't the planetary bombardment the Krell expected. Instead, human ships launched precision strikes against military installations, weapon platforms, and shipyards. They disabled defense systems with surgical accuracy, leaving civilian areas completely untouched. Special forces teams led by Major Sun and Lieutenant Jin dropped onto the planet's surface. They moved through the alien landscape with deadly efficiency, neutralizing command centers and capturing key leaders. The Krell military, already confused by the loss of their command structure, collapsed into chaos. They had never faced an enemy who fought this way, precise, controlled, yet unstoppable. Within 3 standard days, the once mighty Krell Dominion surrendered unconditionally. 1 month later, the Galactic Alliance Council convened an emergency session. The Great Crystal chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from all member species watched as Admiral Hana entered, followed by her senior officers. The chamber that had once rung with laughter at humanity's expense now fell silent as she approached the central platform. "The Eloran refugees have been returned to their homeworld," Hana reported. "Krell forces have withdrawn from all occupied territories. The Krell Dominion has signed peace treaties with all affected worlds, with Earth as guarantor." The council chairperson's compound eyes studied Hana carefully. Humanity has proven itself formidable, perhaps more formidable than the galaxy is comfortable with. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species now looked at the humans with new eyes, not with mockery, but with fear. Hana's response was measured. Comfort didn't save the Elorans. Preparation and willingness to act did. She placed a small crystal on the council table. "This contains our proposal for a new galactic defense coalition. Earth will train and lead. It. And if we refuse? Asked a council member from the back rows. Hana's expression remained neutral. Then when the next crisis comes, and it will come, you'll have to hope humans feel like answering your distress call again. The council debated for 6 days. Some argued that humans were too dangerous to be trusted with such power. Others pointed out that no other species had been willing to face the Krell. In the end, the votes were cast. The Galactic Defense Coalition would be formed, with Earth taking the leading role. 6 months later, representatives from 22 species gathered on Earth for the first time. They walked under blue skies and felt the pull of a gravity that strained their bodies. They saw oceans and mountains and forests filled with creatures that had evolved in one of the most competitive environments in the galaxy. And they began to understand what had created humanity. At the new Coalition training academy near the old city of Seoul, alien cadets struggled to keep up with human instructors. Most needed special breathing equipment to handle Earth's oxygen-rich atmosphere. Many wore exoskeletons to support their bodies against the crushing gravity. "How do you live like this?" gasped a cadet from a low-gravity world as she completed an obstacle course that human children could manage easily. Her human instructor smiled. "This is what made us who we are. Our world tried to kill us every day, so we became hard to kill." In the diplomatic quarter of New Geneva, Eloran Ambassador Ashara stood beside June watching Coalition forces train. Her blue skin had regained its healthy glow. Behind them, other ambassadors watched with a mixture of awe and concern. "Your world tried to kill you every day of your evolution," Ashara observed. "It made you strong enough to save us all." June smiled. "We call it home." Later that evening, Admiral Hana stood on the balcony of the Coalition headquarters, looking up at the stars. Commander Tay joined her, offering a cup of tea. "The Zendari ambassador asked me today if humans plan to build an empire," Tay said. Hana sipped her tea. "What did you tell him?" "That we don't need an empire. We just need a galaxy, where the strong don't prey on the weak," Hana nodded. For thousands of years, humanity had fought itself, never knowing there were threats among the stars. Now they knew. And they had shown the galaxy what humans did best: adapt, overcome, and protect those who couldn't protect themselves. "The Krell Supreme Commander asked me something before he signed the surrender," Hana said quietly. "He asked what Earth was like, to create creatures like us." "What did you tell him?" Hana smiled. "I told him to imagine a world where everything is trying to kill you. The animals, the weather, the land itself. Then imagine the kind of species that would not just survive that world, but master it." Above them, the stars seemed brighter than before. Humanity had taken its place among them, and the galaxy would never be the same.